Okay, let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Gaganjeet Singh from VAF, and I welcome you all to ninth webinar from series Live Webinar with Alumni by Sharda University in association with VAF. I would like to welcome today's speakers who are alumni of School of Law from class of 2019, Mr. Mohit Saini and Ms. Samriddhi Das. They'll be taking session on all about competitive exams. The competitive exam part will be taken care by Mr. Mohit Saini, and our second session, followed by Mr. Saini's session, it will be strategy functions that helps young lawyers to accelerate their careers with exponential growth. So the second session will be taken by Ms. Samriddhi Das. I would also like to welcome Dr. Monica Agarwal, Dr. Urmila Yadav, and Professor Pradeep Kulshetra. And they have joined us in panel. We'll be taking their comments at the end of the session. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Mohit Saini. Mr. Saini is practicing law and he's also an independent researcher. Sir, the platform is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mohit Saini, alumni of Sharda University.
Mohit, sorry to interrupt. Your video is not visible.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Now you can see me.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mohit Saini, alumni of Sharda University 2019 batch. Today, I will start my topic with a simple quote that the best view comes after the hardest climb. Competitive exams are all harder exams. But it is not difficult to crack. There is nothing too impossible. People are cracking competitive exam without coaching and by their self-study, by their hard work. So you have to do the hard work. Then you can see the best view. So if you want to see the best view in your life, so you have to do the hard work. Now there are a lot of competitive exams that are going around. So people are, very confused. Should we give SSC exam, IIT exam, CLAT, PG, and different ministry conducts exam, and then there is a UPSC civil services examination. So I will say, pick one or two exam only that you can see you see your career growth in that. Like if suppose somebody wants to be an IS officer, IPS officer, or he wants to join Indian Foreign Services, then he must go for the UPSC Civil Services examination. If one wants to be a judge or a public prosecutor, then he should go for a exams like Judicial Service Exam, Civil Services Examination, headlines. That doesn't mean you have to join that profession where you are interested. So I request you to please find your area of interest in uh, for competitive exam. There are a lot of competitive exam. I have seen people that they are very confused. Should we also give SSC, UPSC, Judicial Services exam? No, you cannot give. You can give one by one, but you cannot simultaneously prepare for all. So you have to pick one or two exam that you see you are interested in. Now I will talk about few basic rules for cracking any competitive exam. You have to follow these basic rules, and then we will talk about that there are so many kind of competitive exams, and I will give you some sort of for GK, GS, legal aptitude, normal mathematical reasoning, which books you can follow it. So I am starting with what are the basic rules for cracking any competitive exam. The first rule is, and first and foremost rule that we all should follow: remove your distraction, like social media. Instead of commenting on social media, chatting, chit chatting, use your technology in a good manner. Social media is not going to give you anything. This is your time for your career growth. I am not in any social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, because I see these platform as a negative energy that can distract you from your goal. So instead of wasting your time on Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms, social media platform, you can focus on your goal. Like if you want to crack competitive exam, you need to follow your schedule religiously. You need to have a clear cut in your mind that I want to achieve this goal, and after that you can join social media and all that. So my first suggestion for today's youth is, please remove social media. Otherwise you will get trapped in any propaganda ki somebody is abusing someone, somebody is commenting upon someone. So please be safe and don't use these social media while you are preparing for competitive exam. That might cause you big distraction. That is a big distraction for today's youth. Another is discipline. Discipline is the foremost thing in everything, whether it is competitive exam, your law career, your engineering career, your corporate career. Discipline, you can see people like Ratan Tata, how disciplined they are, and you can see the prime minister, how disciplined he is. Everyone needs discipline. If you want to success in your career, you need to have discipline in yourself. Don't extend your goal. Let's suppose today you are saying that I will, let's suppose take a simple subject like history, that I will complete my history in June. Then your goal should not extend to the July. You have to do that much hard work that you will complete your all topics, all major topics in June itself only. I'm also preparing for competitive exam, and I never extend my goal. If it is for a week, then I prepare it for a week and I complete that goal in a particular week. I don't extend that. I don't extend my any goal. That means you need to have a diary and write down your goals. Today in 1st June to 30th June, I will complete history and one law subject or one engineering subject. Then and then also divide that goal in a subtopic. For today's load for 1st of June, I will read 6 topics from history, 5 topics from my law, and 5 topics from engineering. Divide your time, make your schedule. Don't follow anyone's schedule. Like there are a lot of toppers, UPSC topper, judicial services topper, IIT topper. They will give you their schedule, their timetable. No, everybody have a different comfort zone and everybody need a different timetable. So I make my timetable according to me. Let's suppose if I can study good in night, then I will make my timetable according to that thing only. If somebody is studying at a 5 o'clock in the morning, so that's not gonna help you. You should not follow anybody else's schedule. You may listen to the toppers, you may listen to the expert, but make your own timetable. Have a habit of writing your timetable. Like a school, we used to write a timetable. From first session we have a English class, then maths class, then Hindi class. Then you need to also have a timetable. Make a chart, write down your goals, and you should be. I always write down my goals from date. Like from 17 June to 23 June, I have to complete Indian economy. So I always make my goal in a very proper manner. And another is follow your routine religiously. Hard work should not be only a 1 day hard work, 2 day hard work. It should be continuously hard work, continuous hard work till you achieve your goal. You need to do the hard work. You need to follow your schedule religiously, like we follow our religion. Then also you have to follow your schedule religiously. You cannot divert your schedule quickly कि आज पढ़ लिया कल नहीं पढ़ते. No, you have to study continuously. You may give yourself break for a day or a 2 day, but that doesn't mean कि you should not follow कि आज 4 दिन पढ़ा and then rest 4 days we are not going to study. You have to study continuously. That is a basic rule for cracking any competitive exam. Another thing is question yourself that why are you giving this exam. You should not follow anyone. Like suppose today Tina Dabi is a topper, very famous IAS officer, getting so much fame, so I should also give UPSC. No, you should question yourself why. Let's suppose today if I want to be a judge, then I always ask myself this question, why I want to be a judge, why I want to join Indian Judicial Services, yeah, why I want to join civil services, yeah, why I want to crack CLAT PG exam, IIT exam. So there is a reason behind it. Always question yourself. What you will get motivation from yourself only. You may listen to the videos, you may listen to the Sandeep Maheshwari and so many people who are social motivators, but you will get motivation when you have a true belief in yourself. If you don't have any true belief in yourself, then you are not going to achieve any goal. So please believe yourself, question yourself. Every time question yourself, yes, I'm giving civil services examination that I want to serve the society. I want to bring the change in society. I'm giving foreign services examination because I want to serve foreign people of this country. That means you always need to have you always need to question yourself. Why are you giving this examination? Let's suppose I have chosen law. Then I always question myself because I've chosen law for betterment of the society. So I always question myself why I have chosen law. I can choose engineering. I might have chosen engineering or any other profession that they are also good, but there is always a reason behind it. You should not go in peer pressure. Like father is saying, beta, you crack UPSC and you should go for UPSC. Then you are not going to achieve UPSC or any competitive exam. For sitting in any competitive exam, you need to have clear question in your mind that you want to clear something. There is nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You may think 10 lakh people are giving a civil services prelims examination, thousands of people are giving an IIT examination or CLAT examination or judicial services examination. That doesn't mean you cannot clear that examination. You can clear that examination. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible in this world and people are cracking it. And another rule is, that is a basic rule, you have to study. There's no alternative to that. You cannot say कि आज हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो हमारा clear. There is nothing like CCP examination where you can take any one of them and you can clear that examination. That is not even your midterm examination. That is a civil services examination or competitive examination. People sitting in Andaman Nicobar, Kashmir, Kanyakumari, everywhere they are preparing for these examinations. So feel competition, and then you, if you are feeling competition, then only you can prepare for yourself, and then stick to one book and read that book multiple times. So many people will give you, acha, you want to study constitution, read M. Lakshmikant, V. N. Shukla, MP Jain and DK Basu. No, you can read any one of them or any two books of them, and you can revise them multiple times. Instead of reading 10 books one time, read one book 10 times. That's gonna help you in your competitive examination. Another thing is that look at the past 10-year paper. See what trend is going on in that particular examination. Let's suppose today if we are talking about UPSC examination, that is now current affairs oriented. Now people are they are asking questions from the current affairs, relevant current social issues. So always have in your mind that look at the past 10 years of paper. See what kind of trend they are following, what kind of trend that particular commission wants to follow. So you need to have a, in clear cut mind. Okay, these are the important topics. They're asking questions from the current affairs. So I need to have a good control over the current affairs. Then I can clear that examination. For like judicial services, we always say you need to have a, control over civil procedure, criminal procedure, your IPC. Then only you can clear your judicial services examination. Like for IIT, we say physics and chemistry and mathematics are the major subject, and there are, they are divided on the basis of chemical chemistry and another physical chemistry. There are different part of these things. So you need to look at the past 10 years paper, and you need to clear in your mind that these are trends that are going on in this paper. Another basic thing and foremost common rule is that reading newspaper. People say, for current affairs, every examination, because they need to cut short. Anybody can learn the constitution and everything, but how they will cut short the people? They are introducing current affairs in every examination. So for current affairs, you don't need to read everything in your newspaper. Read editorial that are relevant to your syllabus. First of all, read out your syllabus, analyze your syllabus. For like judicial services, they generally ask current affairs related to the legal field. Let's suppose Supreme Court judgment and some appointment of the Supreme Court judge, or removal of the president, or a removal of a judge. So we need to have a control over these. Let's suppose you are clearing, if you are want to appear for UPSC examination, that is civil services examination, then you need to read in newspaper that topic that are relevant to UPSC only, like social political topic, some of the economic topic, like economics, they ask very good question from economics, they ask very good question from the polity. So you need to have a control over these topics. Another thing is that you don't need to focus on the political party. Let's suppose Rahul Gandhi blaming Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi and then Prime Minister Narendra Modi blaming somebody else. That is not relevant. So don't go in that. Cut short your topics, editorial that are needed in your syllabus. And then like share markets, if you're reading economic, then there is no need ki aaj share market mein Sensex is going now up and Sensex is going down. There is no need of that. You need to study only that relevant topic that are relevant to your syllabus. I'm saying ki syllabus is the key to crack any competitive examination. Just don't go start preparing. Look at the syllabus, look at the past year 10 years paper, and then start. Then write down your strength, write down your weakness. I am very good in the polity, I am very bad in history. Then you need to focus more on history and less on the polity. And another thing, I will tell you, every examination mostly conducted in the 3 phase. That is your preliminary examination. So don't study only for preliminary examination, that we will study for prelims and then we will study for mains. They will hardly give you any time from mains examination. Only 1 month, 2 months, or max to max 3 months. Prepare for mains examination, then you will clear prelim examination ultimately. Don't go ki today we will solve the MCQs and then after clearing prelims examination I will prepare for mains. So you will hardly get any time. If you have to prepare, these are the integrated prelims and mains are the integrated terms. And then last is your interview. For interview, what you need to do is, that is your personality test, not your knowledge test. They have already tested your knowledge in your mains and your prelim. They will test your personality, how much you have studied in your graduation. Let's suppose there is a law topper from in UPSC, Soumya Sharma. Maximum question are from there, from IPC, constitution, what you have studied in your in your law school. They only ask question to your relative graduation field maximum. Or if you are working it, then if you are working in, like you are working in Air Force, Army, then they will ask who is army chief and how, why this war is going on, what is Indian China tension, what is LAC, LOC. So they will ask, they're gonna ask you questions relevant to your field, not anything else. And there are so many fields, there are so many competitive exams that now everyone is looking for it. Like UPSC, 10 lakh people are appearing for UPSC this year. UPSC have released that the number of 9 to 10 lakh people are going to give this prelims on 4th October. Then you need to feel the competition as well as, but you should not be scared of. You need to do the hard work and have faith on you. And let's suppose I'm telling you for, let's suppose you're preparing for GS and GK. GS is very easy. You need to learn your NCRTs and some basic books. And for judicial examination, you need to only learn that Lucene. There's a book called Lucene that covers your almost GS for judicial examination or any other examination. But for you're preparing for UPSC, because maximum of people prepare for UPSC, then you need to learn NCRT. You need to clear your basic for NCRT, and then you can go on basic books. And after that, one more thing for English, those who have very weak English, practice one essay per week. Because every paper is conducted in English or Hindi only. If you are weak in Hindi also, then you need to practice one essay per week. Don't rely on that time. Let's suppose we have clear prelim, then we will prepare for mains. This is not your college examination. Your answer should be very short, very to the point. You don't need to write a long answers in your papers. You need to only write the short answer, relevant answer, and on the point. So that is all about the competition exam. Now we can have Samriddhi.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit. Thank you so much for your session. It was really helpful to especially people those who are passing out in this year, and we are also expecting a recession like for an year and a half, and maybe most of them will be inclining themselves toward preparing for competitive exams and all. So thank you very much. I would like to invite Ms. Samriddhi Das. She's currently working as contract abstraction specialist with Elevate Legal Services at Gurugram. Ma'am, all over to you. Ma'am, you're on mute. Okay. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you, Gagan, just giving me the platform, and thank you, Mohit, for giving such a wonderful idea of how to prepare, because it becomes so relevant and important, you know, after we are bombarded and exposed to so much information out there, like what to take, what to not take, and then I think somewhere we forget our own individuality and what are our requirements, and we try to follow someone who has already achieved success. But I believe that it is not only the success stories that we need to keep in mind, but it is also the stories where people have failed and people have learned, so that we do not make the similar kind of mistakes. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Samriddhi. I'm from the batch of 2019 BA LLB. It gives me immense pleasure to have come and interacted with all of you. And as Mohit has come across for the competitive sectors, for the competitive exams, I, however, has a very zeal towards competitive exam, and I'm trying to find some time to really do a good self-study. I was eventually looking at the questions that were coming for Mohit, and it was like time management. How do you manage? And Mohit, I'll really get back to you to see how to manage those time. Where do you take out those time really? And secondly, what happened to me was that I grabbed whatever came to me, and I think I'm very blessed that whatever came to me, I grabbed that, and slowly and steadily, I'm leaning towards the private sector. So the other day when me and Mohit were discussing like what to come up with the topic of our webinar today, Mohit, he said that you'd speak about competitive exam, and what I was brainstorming about was like what do you expect from an alumni to speak? Like if we had our seniors, if we had our alumni, then we would be like, what next? Like I would like to ask my seniors, what next? What after college? So it was really great because, you know, subject centric topics is already available a lot in Google. It's already available online, and subject centric topics are with the vast libraries and books you have, you can anyways gain it. Plus, I think we will not be that of an expert to give you a subject-centric information about any topic, but we thought that something will bring up like a practical ground which will be helpful to anyone who is attending. Secondly, all the attendees, thank you so much for that you have taken out your time to attend our webinar here. And I think that it will surely be very helpful because we are talking something very practical and something we have experienced. And we want you to know that in this platform is like the greatest platform that we can eventually put out the information of our experience and what we can go through. So my topic here would be like the strategies or the skills that you can implement to bring out exposure as a lawyer. It might be why I used the term lawyer because it might be young law graduates or it might be one who have passed out who are looking for better opportunities, right? So I have divided my content in three phases. So phase one talks about it deals with all the young lawyers from first to fourth year, right? How can they develop themselves and how can they bring up their content and what things they can focus on? Because at my time, I was really like I think Mohit, we all were messed up. We had only our professors and we were banging our heads on it. Ma'am, kya kare, how do we do, which topic to take? So I understand when we are very fresh and we are budding away, so we do not understand what to really grab, which track to take. So I think the first phase I would like to connect with those who are very fresh, who are not aware of all the laws which you get in fourth year, fifth year, the knowledge. The second page talks about all the students who are in their final years, fourth year, fifth year, plus the ones like my friends or the alumni who are looking for better opportunities, who have passed out and who can also stream these lines. And the third phase, what I have put out are certain domains or profiles, which very surprisingly, maybe you know it, but I came to know at a very later period that these things exist and these profiles exist and they really require law graduates to come and work on them. So mostly if anyone who is very interested to work in the corporate world or who wants to have that, like if anybody have seen Suits and we have the presumption that we want to work on a law firm or we want to be like Harvey Specter, I guess you know whom I'm talking about. So anyone who wants to come to the private sector and see how the market there is going on or how the things are there in going on, I think whatever I'll put up will be very productive. So without taking much of your time, let's come to phase one. Now, phase one, I'm talking about mostly your resumes, your internships, and your workshops. So let me be very clear, first of all, that when I talk about resume, I'm nowhere here talking about how to draft your resume. Please understand that how to draft your resume will be given by your professors, a class, or you can find it online, and professional resumes will be very different. Plus, always remember that when you're preparing your resume, the profiles that you're applying for, that you're applying for this position or the second position, then you have to update and change your resume multiple times. So I'm not here to tell you how to draft your resume, okay? So let's be very clear on that. I'm here to say you what actually should be the content that you put in your resume. Because while I was working on, I was like fortunate enough to take 2 or 3 interviews, and trust me, it was a little saddening to see when there were students from NLU, there were students from private sectors, and I had to scan their resume and take their interview, and then I saw there that nothing matched of what they were speaking and what's put up in a resume. Plus, it's not necessary that you write, you bombard your resume with words and paragraphs and everything. So let's take what we put in a resume, because I think neither you, neither me, or the company hiring you has so much time to read your resume. This is a fact. This is means very practical thing. They will just scan the bold letters, what are your skills, and they will see whether the skills match the company's requirement, and they'll call for an interview. But why I stretch so much on resume is that you will be personally not present, physically not present to explain yourself. The first thing that goes to any company will be the plain paper of your resume or a soft copy of your resume that will speak for you. So when we tell about resume, we obviously know the basics, that we write our name and all our contact informations and all our, your grades and everything. That is fine. But later to that, I would suggest everyone, even a fresher who is hearing it, who are already putting their heads into making their resume, the first thing is that be very specific of what you're putting up. Like if you have written a paper and you write that I have published a research paper and so on so topic like intellectual property and your ISSN number. There's an ISSN number given for every published paper. What it does is that the company who is hiring you all knows that yes, this person is working for intellectual property. He has somehow researched on this topic, and my company needs someone who is very specialized in intellectual property. So what I'm giving you the difference is that if you just write that he is a specialist in law research and he has conducted various researches and has published its paper on national and international journal, it's very vague. We don't know which national journal, international journal, we don't know your topic. So that is very important to be very specific about the topic you are researching on and to put ISSN number. Okay, that is one thing. That is about all the research work we do, and why I stress on it that I myself and Mohit, he has been doing so much research. So first we used to use those lines, but then you can obviously be specific about which papers you have published and what are the ISSN number. Second thing is the internship. It is very necessary that when you're doing your internship, you get your certificate of internship. I do not know how many organizations very vividly or clearly describe what are the functions you're doing, but you have a clear chance of, you can say now, you have a freedom to expose on your resume what actually you have worked on that internship. Please just do not mention that I have worked in Consumer Redressal Forum, or I have worked in High Court with this judge or renowned advocate. Please mention your skills, that you have worked on arbitration, that you have drafted, that you have negotiated, that you are working on the commercial contract, that you're working on private partnership, anything that you have worked on, please remember to a skill set and put in your resume. This gives a clear chance of the person hiring you or wanting to take you to see that yes, he is really a specialist. It doesn't matter really, you have done that or not. In the space of time, you can eventually gather your knowledge on that. But something which you have done and something which you want to pursue, you really need to write those skills. So, and the third thing is like for all the young ones who are in their first and second years, or the ones who are in their final years, please, I think making a resume or bringing out the content of a resume does not happen on your end years. I know there is, you can do a fast forward or you can drill yourself in the last 2 years. But if you need a proper content for your resume, you just please start. I would just request, please start from your first year, so that till 5th year you at least do one internship or you at least do workshops. Like in the whole 1 year you can take 1 month to do something, right? Write a research paper or do a workshop or attend an internship. So when you do that, you eventually have, now you do not have to drill yourself in the end. This is why it is important while developing your resume or really bringing productive content to your resume. If there's no content to your resume and there's vague paragraphs and vague lines and not specific, you're really wasting the one who is hiring you. So this is why, so many good candidates, they do not get called because they're very vague about their resume. Plus the workshops you do, in our time, we have organized so many workshops, people there for the mooting community, people there for the seminars. Please get involved in that. This is important. Why is it important? When in case they want to know your leadership skills, they want to know your management skills, what happens? You cannot say, oh, I have done my so and so, I am a good manager, I organize things. Even if you give a good definition about leadership skill and management, doesn't work. But if you say that I have organized this webinar or workshop in my college, or I have done something for the judicial workshop in my college, and this is how the team management work, and this is how me and my colleagues or me and my classmates, we worked on it. This gives an example specific that really you had leadership skills and you have actually organized those workshops and you have actually managed those workshops well. So be very specific to, take the opportunity in college. After college, really, you do not get to organize big events, right? Until abhi tak to mujhe nahi mila hai, right? You do not get renowned so well that you go for a event management thing. But this is a very good opportunity that the college gives, and I have realized later that I have organized or I have been a part of, even if your seniors are organizing, and any role they are giving you, just take that role, grab that certificate, because this is going to give a authentic proof that you have organization skills, that you have leadership skills. So that is all about your resume building and how I have been telling you about internships and your research papers. So being very frank, like how do we get to know where these internships are? How do we get to know where these workshops are? Okay, that is another important thing. So I have faced this dilemma, and I think it was bad on my side too. I didn't know how our internship committee was working. But if there's no internship committee in your college, get an internship committee done. It is very important, because in those years of college, if you do not put up this word that we need an internship committee who can actively search for internships, or we need some a panel who can actively look for internships or opportunities, because I understand the dilemma in first and second year, we do not know much stuff. So that is where we need the help of our seniors, we need the help of our professors, we need the help of a committee to know where is it available. So, our college was very, I think, during the college time and later period of college time, I think they give you the greatest platforms, because we got the opportunity to work in NGT. I feel like NGT has become a partner of Sharda, because we attend all its workshops, we attend their internships, then you can say NGT, the National Consumer Redressal Forums. Plus, the most important thing is when the college is bringing up certain renowned guests, please try to be a part of it, because I have understood in a later period that if I had a better connection or reach during that time, that could have helped me a very different, vast way to get a good career opportunity now. So, always try to be active, always go to those seminars. And I think our teachers, they played this trick on us that you get attendance, come to the seminar. But actually, that was such a productive trick that I get it now, that, that attendance was not necessary. But going and attending that seminar and making a better connection, actually, the whole world today is working on connection. Making a better connection was very necessary that time. So I would say that all the young ones who are attending, or all the young ones who are hearing, and you have an opportunity to really go to these conferences and meet those renowned guests, you should do it. You never know when luck clicks. And the site. So now the internships that is provided by the college is well and good. And then anything you want to search on yourself, because you will not be sitting right that I did not get an opportunity from college, so I will not do an internship. Please give away that idea. There's several sites that give internship, and I have a site that I have been using from first year till now to search a job, or to search an internship, or to see a site for research paper, or to find a fellowship. This one site has helped me so much. The site, I think many of you know, it's Law Octopus. So what Law Octopus, I just spell it LAWCTOPUS. So Law Octopus site, it is totally free. You can subscribe it, registration free. You can subscribe it. What actually saves your time in Law Octopus is that it is very legal centric. So now when you are searching legal internship or jobs or any workshops in other sites, what happens is this: you have to see whether they're really legal centric, whether they have legal work or not. But when it comes to Law Octopus, they already find that these are legal centric and only meant for the law graduates and everyone. So please dive into Law Octopus, I would say. That would be something so great, and you can find all the resources that you want over there, anything. Be it your internship, be it your research, be it your fellowship program, anything you need is there. And why I find Law Octopus very inspiring is because it gives you first-hand information. Like there are several sites I have really had a headache later on, that already the last date was gone and I got the news later that this was applied. So Law Octopus already makes it feel better, that it gives you on the right time and you have ample time to apply for anything. So what I was talking about is that this also goes for the ones who are in final years. See now, like when we are fresh, we think that they're only the popular ones where we have to apply for an internship, but there are important other sites where you can really apply for internships and go for a training period or go for a workshop. Like we have already seen for NGT, NHRC and NCDRC, these are the popular names you will always hear. I get it. But if you go and serve Law Octopus, or if you even do not know which sites to go or which places to go for an internship, why I'm stretching about internship is that is very important. You know how the practical world is going on. You know, theory is something you'll be flourishing in college. I really get it, but to know actually how to execute that, you need an internship or a workshop. So you know there is internships. Firstly, I would mention NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. Everyone who has a very good zeal for human rights, with a very good future perspective for going to the UN Assembly and being a part of it, and who likes this kind of field, you can always go for NHRC. What happens in NHRC is that they have 3 internships and it is mandatory. They have a summer internship, winter, and a 15 days internship. So it is a paid internship, it's a government one, and the government takes full responsibility of it, and the exposure is really good. So I have been well blessed to be one of it. And please remember, when they're asking for your applications for internships, it mostly happens in the month of June, another in December, and one in between June and December. So it will be always 2 months prior to when the internship is. So if you please check their websites, you will get a clear idea. Second thing is the electricity department. You know, electricity department is like my Gmail gets bombarded with all those internships from the electricity department, and I'm like, what was I doing when I was in college? Why didn't I see this? Okay, then we have your OIL, Oil India Limited, and then ONGC. I think some of our fellow mates have also done in ONGC. This is okay. Then we have your pension regulatory schemes. They have departments in that. Ministry of Corporate Affairs. This whole workshops and internships in a various ways. You just have to check their sites. You do not need anyone's help. Every requirement will be there. Just put your application, just get into it and learn things. This is why I say that it is important, because I was not exposed to this knowledge in my time, and I don't want that you also are deprived of knowing these things. If it is new to you, then please do see, because for the ones who have passed out, we have fellowship programs over there. For the ones who have passed out, we have training programs here there, and it is also something very government recognized. So I think many of you will be interested. And for the ones who are still in college, can go for internships. Okay, and trust me, even at this period of time, even when we have this sad COVID-19 happening, they have online internships having. So please check to that. Okay, then Competition Commission. I think we have very good professors who have a good link with Competition Commission. You can always get a help from them. Okay, then if you know or not, I do not know, there is a project 39A going for the National Law University of Delhi. They carried out this project 39A. It's about Article 39A, equal opportunities and without discrimination. So this is a project that goes on over the year, and this is organized by the NLUD. You can search for it, and you have internship opportunities as well as job opportunities over there. What is there? They take very important and very interesting topics. Anyone who wants to like the criminal background a lot, you know, they have talked about torture, they have talked about death penalty, they have talked about forensics as how health come to law. So they require a lot of law graduates, and they require a lot of associates. Even the other day I was looking, there was vacancy for it. So please see, because this project is really interesting. Even I'm going to apply for it. Project 39A of NLU. Okay, so that I would give a short wind up for the phase 1, where I was talking to really the fresh ones. So please give a good, you can say, content to your resume. Please buckle up your internships. Trust me, have fun with your college, because it is important. But I think you can spare 1 month of your whole year to just put up your effort and attend all the seminars and workshops, and be trying to say it again and again. Be very specific with what you're putting in your resume, and take a good resume class or how to draft over it. And it is very sure, you know, by company to company, their demands are different, and therefore you have to draft your resume multiple times applying to companies. The mistake I was doing it beforehand was that एक resume बना लिया, just done with one resume and forwarding everywhere. That doesn't work. That really doesn't work. You have to see the job requirements or the domain requirements, what it is asking you for, and you have to draft your resume accordingly, so that it gives a proper catch to that. The rest of the personality development matters will be given in your class. Sharda is always helpful in giving personality development. to put up on that because every person is different. You'll need different things to groom you up. So I was just giving a food to what actually goes in your process of your, like, while you're graduating, while you're doing your classes from 1 to 4 year. So let's come to phase two. That is, we are dealing with all the ones who are in your final years and who have passed out or looking for a good job right now, or who wants to apply for better opportunities. I would say that the resume part that we were talking in phase one, the same applies for all of us. I'm in your domain itself, and I'm really struggling all the time to get something better, to get something better. So that hunger is so important, the fire in your belly is very, very important to go for better. So, I would say that you please keep up your spirits, and then you can work on yourself better. And just to say what we can do, I would term it as we, because even I belong to this sector, this phase two sector, to groom ourselves to have the strategies or tools. Is that the first thing which I thought was really not important, being very frank, that was my perspective, but it tend to be so important, is coming to any in the job portal or coming to LinkedIn. LinkedIn has really changed my life because LinkedIn is not only about your career search or job search. LinkedIn is also about making a huge connection. LinkedIn is also about following pages where you are interested in. There's so many things that are coming up in our present world that I was not at all aware when I was in college. And and then I think where was I? What was I doing? So Mohit and all, they have a good this thing for going for papers, reading papers. I was not a person reading papers. I was a very late riser, I'm being very frank about it. But right now you cannot rise late, so you have to get up and get to office and everything. So I really did not get time to read I'm a very old fashioned person. I like opening newspapers and reading it, but that didn't happen. I have to scroll news on my phone because there's no time at all. And then when I switched to LinkedIn, what happened is I really got very productive news. I saw all how the markets are working, which industry is growing, what are my skills that I use in that domain. It is not necessary like a big industry that it has all your, you can say, administrative functions, it has your financial functions, it has your legal department too. So that was something which was introduced to me by LinkedIn. So all of the fresh ones or the past ones who are not, I'm not saying just open your LinkedIn account and sit silent, not be active. That is not going to help. If you are really, if you feel like getting a LinkedIn account, just try to be active on it. Try to connect it to specific people that can help you. I am also, I want to bring out the fact that recently I was looking everyone posting that LinkedIn has been used as a chat box. That shouldn't happen, because I think we come from a very good background, right? We are all budding lawyers, so I believe we are not going to do that. But please speak up if you have any concern thing about any topic. Any topic is posted by any person. There are very professional people in LinkedIn. You need to act in a professional manner. If you're fresh in LinkedIn, give it some time. You will eventually understand how it works. Okay, where to really give your comment, which sector to like, and how to really reach out to people, how to speak. So be very polite in LinkedIn, and try to build your professional ground in LinkedIn. What happens in private sector is that along with our resume, I have seen that they have always checked my LinkedIn account, where I have worked, how I have worked, because LinkedIn is very specific. Just like when you're putting your biodata in your LinkedIn, they will be very specific about your skills. And they can be helped by your professors, and they can be helped by your the other endorsements that you get. So that is very important. Second thing is that when we are having a job, when we have an account in any other job portals, what comes out is that we actually know where we stand. Now, I am not saying that you put your effort in your job portal and eventually you get a job. That doesn't happen. That is not real world. The fact is that you keep on updating your job portal and you just see how many calls you receive. I'm not saying that you have to take that interview or you have to take that particular job, but please at least know where you stand in this whole world. Where are you actually really? If you get a call, means at least you have given a step forward, that yes, this particular company has shown an interest on my skills and is asking me what are my skills. Okay, It is not necessarily expecting that you will have to get the job or you have to get that particular role you're applying for. Even a call is a one step more than not getting a call from any company, right? So I would like to say, and I would really request, it will be very helpful, maybe by the phase of your time, come to LinkedIn and come to any job portal that you think is important or which gives roles. And plus, I have been in your Naukri.com, I have been in there, I have been in Indeed, I have been in LinkedIn, and these three profiles have helped me immensely. Like it has, I have got calls, and it was on me to decide which to take, which not to take. You can have a direct communication with them. The pressure of this now, where to find them, whether I'll get or not, that somehow gets solved while you're active on those profiles. And I think connection always helps. Plus, with that, when we are talking about your online courses or a PG diploma course or a certificate course is not something you like, you just do it for like getting a certificate or something. I would say that I think now we have put our this what do you say efforts more, because of the COVID-19 situation, we are all sitting back at home and we are taking these courses. But it should be a lifestyle. Like whenever you have time, these courses are very flexible. It is not like it will ruin your whole day of time. It will, you can adjust the timing yourself when to attend those courses, how to get those certificates. So online courses are very beneficial. I would like to share my experience on that. Think like I'm from a law background, and we had our contracts act, we had our company's law, and we had to do all about corporate. So, very frankly speaking, the theory that I collected from college was good, but it was not enough, because I needed to know what actually went in. So as I was giving my interviews and everything, they used to ask me very technical questions. Technical, I do not mean technology based. It's the practical questions. If this happens, what are you going to suggest? What will be the legal remedies for it? And I was blank. I was like, I never came across all that. Then how do I answer? For that, you always need, I feel, these online courses have helped me. So how I came to this contract management or contract abstraction role is the last phase that I'll be talking about. So then I took this online courses. I saw that there's so many technical terms to it that actually practically work. And then I understood that was not enough with what I took and gave my interview. Yes, my resume got selected. Okay, fine. The communication skills were good, but technical things for any topic is very specific. They will ask. Plus, I would tell you, this is the basic they ask. They never ask you very detailed things. Like anything specific, if you know, and anything specific can be under all the sub points that you should know is what the company search. But if you're writing something on your resume or you're putting up something else in your LinkedIn, and while they're taking your interview, you do not know head, you just know the head or tail maybe. You do not know what goes in the body itself, then that creates a really different picture. So I'm saying that, any kind of specialization, if you are interested in intellectual property, specialization in that. If you're very interested in criminology, any specialization in that. If you're interested in corporate, I think the BBA people, the MBA people, and any specific topic on that is going to be helping you in various ways. How? If me and someone is applying, we have the same qualifications and requirements, but he has a specialization, he gets the role, not me. So that is what I have been trying to stress out, where we are, where we have been put back. So I want to give that information to you because I have learned it in a very hard way, so that you become specific, take some specialization courses. I think now is the right time than ever. We are just sitting back in our homes, and it is not only for the certificate. Please try to understand what they are trying to teach you on an online course, so that you can be vocal about it when your interview is going on. You at least know something. Okay, that is one thing. Plus, yes, the third thing is that there sometimes it happens that there is a job requirement. They put their skills and requirements that this is needed from the candidate, this is needed from the candidate. Now you know that you somehow know the perspective of it, but you do not know in details. So what happened? Still apply for it, because you get ample time to learn about it, and it is not actually always the qualifications that matter in the private sector. There are many other things that are going on in the market. I would be very frank to explain that it is we also see what is the zeal of the candidate to learn. We see how the fresher, if sometimes even an experienced candidate doesn't get selected, but the fresher gets selected. It is not that the fresher knows a lot. It is the zeal the fresher shows in the topic. Plus, also the fresher will be demanding a less of compensation than an experienced one. Plus, for a fresher, they check whether 70 to 80% is he knows about the topic, and then other 30% is the training period that will go on. So, see the requirements and do not always take a bag and not apply for positions where you see, oh my God, I do not know anything about it. If you know somewhat of it, research on that domain well. Take classes on that domain well. Be very prepared, even if you are a fresher, even if you are passed out and a fresher and still want to go to the private sector, which is very important. So this is one more thing that we can keep in mind. And I think any other questions, if you have on this, will be like I can give you a more broad perspective. So the last phase that I'm coming up is something very interesting. And whoever has been putting up till the end, thank you so much. I think we are not boring you or something. And I hope it is interesting because we are providing links, we are providing information that later on after the session, you can really Google it out and see where they exist. So the last phase is certain domains. Again, I would like to stretch that maybe you knew, but I didn't know they existed. And by like on the walking phase, I realized that these profiles existed, which require a lot of law graduates, like legal compliance. So I was introduced to legal compliance in a very surprising manner. Because I thought I was I understood the terminology of the term compliance. So anyone who is new to compliance means to comply with certain policies or to comply with certain functions. So I thought it was totally an administrative job. It did not require anything of the legal perspective. So whenever you see any private sector or a private company or corporate asking for legal compliance, I think it is the best job for any law graduates. So now when compliance comes, we have your regulatory compliance as well as your legal compliance. So when regulatory compliance is shift to, it goes for all the administrative things. But when you come to legal compliance, this compliance sector, it is a vast sector, but on a very layman language that I can explain you, is a sector where you see the company's policies, whether the employees are following the company's policies, which are enforceable, which are legal. Also, the company's policies with other companies they are contracting with. Also, the company's policies with the state laws are they comparing with. The most of my companies, they also had US and international clients. So whether the federal laws they were complying with. So this legal compliance field is such a broad sector, and this is something I'm taking interest in. So now when we divide legal compliance, there are some sections I became specific about a particular role. In legal compliance, there will be many roles you will get, but for me, I was very interested towards contracts. What happened is that there's a role called contract management, contract abstraction, contract review, isn't it? So these roles included part of administrative role and part of legal role. So these roles were very interesting for me because we want to keep up with the pace of this generation. Like, isn't it? We see how the old traditional manners have gone, and we are looking for companies hiring us. We are looking to work in the IP industry. We are looking cyber security is coming out, isn't it? There's something so fast that you want to keep up with it. So something contracts is like as we learn. As I go back to college and learn, it only was mostly comprised with your Companies Act, Contracts Act, Indian Contract Act, and then your Specific Relief Act. We were all going round and round with these three things, but we fail to recognize what are the practical aspects that really goes in contracts. Now, contracts would be many, but I'm specifically talking about your public-private partnership contracts and PPP contracts, which is commonly known, and then also contracts of commercial contracts. Commercial contracts is in boom these days because commercial contracts are, vendor agreements. So for all those who are fresh and hearing this and who have not come across these terms right now, so in a very layman language, commercial contracts are the contracts which the company enters with any of its service providers. So the company will enter with a service provider, or the company also takes service from other providers. So these are all the commercial contracts that goes on between the companies and the service providers, or between the companies and the customers who are taking those services. Very interestingly, what happens in these contracts is that it takes all the laws within. So when I was walking under the chambers of Supreme Court, we entered into a lot of arbitration and negotiation, and that was the first time I had to face this public-private partnership contracts. So when we come to public-private partnership contracts, what happens are the contracts which the government has entered with the private sectors for these goods and services for the customers or the citizens. So you get to come across with various companies, maybe it be pharma companies, maybe it be any other companies. Okay, so when we look in these contracts, we see the big legal domain it has in these contracts. It will not be of one law, it will be of several laws, and laws with respect to, you can say, the quality and standard. Okay, laws with respect to consumers, laws with respect to your time essence, laws with respect to your specific performance, laws with respect to your which who will be liable for which performance, and what will happen if there is a breach, confidentiality breach. So what will be the warranties or insurances that will go if any breach is there, whether there is a guarantee or warranty for them, right? And when all those are talked about, we see the risk factor very well, because I think nobody in common wants to take risks. Something goes wrong, you do not want to be called liable. So this is where all the things in private sector are booming, that to know about contracts, to draft the contracts so well that everybody is saved of risk. Nobody wants a risk, because once you are given a risk, you have to pay a huge amount of money. So that is what really interested me, that how these are negotiated. Okay, so that the liability of each partner for that contract becomes less, so that there is better force majeure clauses. Okay, and there is what will happen, because now we know anything, even we are doing this webinar, anything is online, virtual. So what is the threat of cyber security right now? So that also plays a very important role. So while I was starting with it, it has first, second generation contracts or security measures. Now we have reached till fourth or fifth generation measures, which even I'm learning for security. It is very important. So, vendor management, and like, again, I would like to say, when we are talking about these domains, it is not only the law we are studying, it is also a team of management. So any candidate or any attendees here who are from BBA or MBA, I think you guys are more aware about the pricing models. Like if I'm selling a commodity or selling a service from one company to a customer, then what will be the pricing, and how can we link those pricings with other legal fortes? So how much we can keep the pricing and the market demands. Something totally out of my domain, but I had to learn that, because you have to see the vendor is getting good, you can say, opportunities, the customer is fed well, the customer get good opportunities, what are their goals the company is entering, and how they can achieve those expectations or goals. So this kept increasing my field of domain again and again. It was mostly first for legal, then I came to compliance, then I became very specific about contract management or contract review and abstraction. So while you are working on these profiles, these are certain profiles, please check, because they look for young graduates and they look for anyone who is also into this field. Second profile is, I would say, intellectual property. It has been so popular from old times to new times, because it is taking various dimensions. So when we talk about intellectual property, a property, I still remember, Mohit, you remember or not, the one generating from your mind, human mind. So this was what was taught to us in our class, industrial property, intellectual property, which you should have a copyright, which you should, get a trademark for it, get it registered. So that field is also growing a lot. People are talking for patent, patent specialists, one who are like patent developers, docketing of patents. So that field is also huge, which one legal graduates in that. So if you have an interest on that, please also check that. If I'm missing anything, I'll just, yes. So this is all that I had to share with you guys on the profiles that I have come across, and which I think many of us miss that on it. Plus, with that, I will not take more than 5 minutes. I think Gagan is on the video now. He thought that I was about to end maybe. So let's do it. Let's just wind about. So I would say that being fresh, it doesn't make you, don't stay ignorant of all the possibilities and the huge resource that is given to you, and make full use of it, because now is the time, those we shouldn't be waiting for the last moment. It makes things easy. Also, the ones who thought enjoyed life to full, great, you have done good on all your 4 years. Come to fifth year, but it's fifth year or you have passed out, it's time to buckle up. And there are strategies even there to look for it. Private sector is not it is not like very something very complicated, but you have to get into it to understand. Also, one more thing, like while I was speaking for internships, some of the great companies that like always on our head, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, NITT, everyone is taking law graduates for internships. Please look for LinkedIn. I saw they're taking more interns than job posts or career opportunities. So ones who are in BBA LLB, do not think that they are not accessible. They're really accessible. And it is all the law graduates applying for this private sector internships you should see. Rest, I would say that for the ones which I was talking about, your online courses, some of the very important sites that I found was edX. edX is certification course that is given for Harvard. edX, the spell is small e, small d, and capital X. So small e, small d, capital X. So this is the site where the certificates are provided from Harvard University, and very minimal price they take for registration. Plus, you are very fortunate now. Sometimes fortune also comes with bad times. COVID-19, they have even lowered the price. Please take certificate, good courses on them. They have courses on several ways. Then I think LinkedIn Learning has always been there that gives certified courses. Then we have your Ellison courses. Everyone has heard about Ellison. Then others are Future Learn and Pluralsight. These are sites that have helped me a lot. You can get your online courses registered. Some courses are also free, and you please get registered and get certificates of it. Plus, I would like to speak about, while ending, be active and be present on what is going on. It is very important. Like COVID-19 is there, we take our share of pleasure of taking time to our home, meeting our families, spending time with them. But it is also a time to see what is happening globally. I would like to make you see this factor that we are not only law graduates, but we are very sensitive and aware citizens, I feel. So just see what are the discrepancies that is going on, and how the law and the amendments will come bring a change. Because if you have been aware or not, I don't know, the cases of your boys locker room, the cases what happened in Law Seco, the cases which has been going on in US for George Floyd, for racism and minorism. These are certain so important topics that will take a major turn. Just trust me, after COVID-19 and after a year of gap, all laws, all amendments are going to take a major turn. So your contribution towards that could be a very small contribution, but it will be something very interesting to write a paper or research on it. What happens is that the one publisher also gets interested. A person is coming out with a new topic and a new research matter. So please look into this incident and act inwardly and also think globally. So when you think globally, it connects everything and it becomes very prominent on how you are working as a law person, how you are researching as a law graduate. I think it's a very wonderful opportunity that we understand laws. It is not necessary that you know all the laws, but it is necessary that you can interpret it and understand the laws, and therefore look through these perspectives globally. And yesterday I was Yes, I was working on, and you can also see these topics. They're very interesting because now COVID-19 situation has come up. So I think the interpretation of mental or emotional abuse while joblessness. So how with that? So millions of people are getting laid off. Me, I'm an example, virtual example. There are companies thinking of freshers to get laid off, and we are given a sign or notice for it. And I'm also looking for good opportunities outside. So, what will be the difference now? How will we explain emotional or your abuse or your mental abuse working with joblessness after COVID-19? So, how will be the divorce cases be arising, or what will be the concept of if there is an online marriage phenomenon, okay? And then can mental health issues now become because of COVID-19 result in non-compatibility with your partner act as a legal defense in court? There was other day I was listening a story where a partner, like, it was being shared, and I was just looking these things in criminology, that now how the status will change now, whether we can prove compatibility on this grounds. So COVID-19 will become such a big change that you should take the opportunity to think like what are the minute changes that can come up. It will be very interesting, and I think any publisher of any paper or any journal will be very interested to work on such topics and get you in. So that is all, and I think I have tried to manage to cover everything, like on for the topic, that is the strategies or skills or tools that you can work on. So feel free after this, come to LinkedIn, connect there, or we are always available. So feel free to speak to us if you know anything in detail. That's all. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Sunidhi. That was a huge session from you. You're like very like kudos to your efforts. Like I jotted some questions for you, but you have answered all, like from being a construct abstraction specialist, because I never knew about this position. I thought I'll just ask you like if you can like tell students what they can pursue afterwards. But you have from phase one to phase two till phase four. You have come like you have covered all. I like, and
Thank
thanks
you.
Mohit also, like the way you explained about how to prepare for competitive exams. It was really helpful. Like you both have done a great job for today's session. Right, we'll just take these questions quickly. We have 6 questions from attendees. The first question is from Yogesh. He's asking, sir, how can we work on time management for UPSC, and what is the right time to start? So this
Uh,
is for Mohit, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Whenever you think that you should start, there's a right time to start. I think there's no right time. You can start any time, but you should have a faith. But what about time management? In COVID-19 have given a lot of time to prepare for these competitive exams, as there are no physical classes, there are virtual classes are going on. But I will say that there are 2 3 things that you should note while you're preparing, that your timetable should be realistic one. You should not make a timetable that I will complete 30 subject in a month. You cannot clear it. You cannot do that. But what you need to do, you need to set a realistic timetable. I will suggest a one app called Pomodoro. Pomodoro is a foreign-based app. So the app virtually strategize your studies. Like if you want to study 25 minutes, then you can take 5 minutes break. Then you study 30 minutes, then you can take 10 minutes break. And then after that, you are studying 45 minutes, then you can take 15 minutes break. So they generally help you, because you cannot study 2 or 3 hours continuously sitting at a one place, and you keep on going for the same thing. So first of all, pick 2 3 subject for a month. Let's suppose if you are preparing for UPSC, let's take example of UPSC. If you are preparing for UPSC, what you can do, take one subject from your GS, like history, and then you can after 1 hour studying, or 45 minutes, 25 minutes, and after that you can go for your optional subjects, whatever optional you pick. Let's suppose you pick an option of engineering, law, then you can take one subject from there, and at the last, what you can do, you can take current affairs, because current affairs, like Samriddhi is also talking about some intellectual property rights. I want to mention about it, Justice Pratibha have written a very good editorial in The Hindu. She has written, let's suppose today Johnson and Johnson makes medicine for COVID-19, and they claim patent. We can only make this medicine. What will happen then? How will other company will get a chance to make same kind of medicine in such a crisis? So she said now we need to revisit the intellectual property laws. So I will suggest that whenever you prepare for competitive exam, you read editorial. There are good editorials by RBI governor on economy, and good law professors, good judges write articles. You get an insight what is going on in the world. Let's suppose, and for time management, you need to prioritize your time. Let's suppose you write down what you do in a day, and you can cut down that things that are unnecessary for you, like watching TV, watching news channel. Instead of watching news channel, you can read the newspaper. The purpose of news is to get inform yourself, nothing else. So there's no need, like people are mad over PUBG. We want to play PUBG for 2 or 3 hours, and I wonder what will happen. So instead of, you need to prioritize your time, optimize your time, make your timetable very realistic. And there is an app called Pomodoro, and there are other apps also for time management, but Pomodoro is best one. Even Spanish people use Pomodoro. Pomodoro actually, we call tomato as a Pomodoro in a foreign countries. So Pomodoro is an app that will help you to scrutinize your time.
Right. So the next question is from Parul Mehra. What all sources are available to get information about other government examinations? So maybe the notifications and where you can find
Yes, yes.
early.
What I say, there are one journal website that is Notice Board. Like Loctopus is there for only law students. If law student wants to inform themselves about any exam, they can visit to the Loctopus website. But for any other examination, there is a website called Notice Board, and Notice Board gives you a lot of things about internship and your job experiences of different people at a particular place, and your competitive exam also. And there are 2-3 commissions that are majorly conduct all the examination. One is UPSC, second your state TCS commission, and another is that relevant ministry. Let's suppose there are sometimes president house also conduct some few examination, Lok Sabha also conduct examination for different posts. So you can visit to that website also. And there are journal website like sarkarinaukri.com and all that, so you can download that also. But Notice Board is best one, because that gives you internship experience, as well as, and in other field also, like mass communication, arts and science, engineering. So all people can visit to the Notice Board website. And I would like to mention one more thing. Samriddhi was talking about a lot of online courses. There is one university, National Law University of West Bengal, where I have done my online course on drafting of laws. And there are different courses for MBA students, corporate students, and law students, and that are very useful. They give you a lot of content. They conduct your examination online, and they mark you, and they will give you certificate, and they are very helpful sessions. So you can visit NLU West Bengal website also, and they are very good in business and commercial laws. Those people are very interested in commercial laws and online courses related to that, so they can visit the National Law University West Bengal website. And there is those people who want to prepare for UPSC or any other examination, there's a startup called Unacademy, very famous, very publicly known. So there is no need to join coaching. If you go Mukherjee Nagar, you will get depressed. A lot of people are coming, preparing for examination. A lot of coaching centers are there. Instead of doing that, you can download one app called Unacademy. There are a lot of good professors, good law teachers, or every exam teachers are there. Engineering examination, IIT examination. So they give you good insight over that particular examination. And for answer writing, what you can do, there's an Insight IS app, and they generally ask a question related to current affairs, laws, engineering, and your major topic like polity, history. So you can write down your answer, you can send it to them, and they will give you feedback.
Right. So there's next question from Siddhant Gupta, maybe for Samriddhi. What is the scope of CS after BA LLB?
So I hope Siddhant is asking for your CS for your company secretary positions.
Yes.
Right. So I hope that Siddharth, you were more specific about this. So what is the scope of CS after BLLB? So if you take your you take a private sorry, if you take a special input to it, or if you take a diploma in the corporate sector for it, it becomes more useful, because company sector, when company secretaries we are talking about, it is mostly for the BBA ones, for the BBA LLB ones, or who has come for the management profile. So the company is looking for something which has more knowledge, or which has more practices in the management profile. So you being from BA LLB, you can always come up with the thing that BA LLB, we had courses for finance, we had courses for economics, isn't it? So these things will be helpful to you in taking a specialized course which will be dealing with BBA and management too, and that will somehow help you in the company secretary positions if you want to come to the corporate sector. So for BA LLB, I think we have to do a little bit of hard work, because we have chosen BA LLB, but I think so it will not be like very hard for it, because you can take a specialization after it. And we are already exposed to BBA LLB, how the domain goes on, but to know the technicalities how the company works for, that requires certain specialization for company secretary. So I would say that you can go for a PG diploma course for in the corporate affairs or in the corporate sector, or you can also have a management background to it. Like anything that is for mostly prone or inclined towards BBA or MBA is more helpful in CS than coming from a BA background solely. So BA background will give you the steps, but I think that you should also look something for the management background. So why I would like to explain that is that like as I was speaking when I was doing my time, so that like when I was doing for contract management, I knew about the legal policies, I knew how the laws acted, okay, coming from BA background. But I did not knew much about your vendor management or the pricing models they were asking me about. For that totally goes for BBA background or the management teams. So you know something company secretary also has, I think, similar profiles. I won't be a very great expert to speak on that domain, but what I could carry from your question for CS would be that you also prefer for practical and technical based courses or specialization, which will actually help you what practically goes in that domain, so that you can understand the, you can say, minor things that goes over it, and you can apply for any positions for company secretary. Please give focus to your corporate sectors more to get for this role. That's all.
Right. There's this last question from Mahesh. He's asking, what is the scope of blogging on YouTube, as many people are not aware of their rights? Like, yeah, you can just take this question.
Okay, so I think you know Mohit has been blogging for so long. It was a very good question for him, but I would just take it as an audience and what I have understood from blogging, because I've never like started any blog or such. So you think you know when we come for the term blogging, or what we put up in the internet has a big crowd to reach. It's like something exposed in a world which you have very less security these days. I do not know, like if you have seen this movie of Snowden, Edward Snowden, or if you have seen such movies where they talk about your cyber breach or cyber security, or what are the media laws of obscenity or anything, something like that, to that domain which governs your YouTube blogging. And I think we are very, I do not know if you're keeping a track or not, I have been getting continuous posts about how now the TikTok being a Chinese company, and how the YouTube there has been a lot of clash going on. So I even keep on thinking, where there are no laws or what with the language or the content that group come out. But I have not done much research on that. But I think it is time we talk about that with the type of content or type that is allowed. But again, we have laws that says that there is a fine line between art and the fine line between performance, and what is anything very to defame someone or to become anything that becomes obscenity. The terms which were obscene, I think 10 years ago, with banned films or any banned books or journals, are no more obscene right now, right? So law is changing with the change of the perspective and the ideas that we are coming up. And I think a blogger, he reads the terms and policies of YouTube. If you are especially mentioning YouTube, I think YouTube also has terms and policies, and YouTube also brings down videos when they are out of their terms and policies. Okay, they delete those videos, but sadly, till YouTube deletes those videos, internet now is so powerful and out of our hands that there is 1,000 copies of that video already been made and posted back. So we need to keep a check on how to control this, because we have AI going on. We know the concept of artificial intelligence taking control of us. But everyone says that AI is good, but a genius knows when to stop. So we have to also look the limitations that will beautify artificial intelligence or any online or social activity that goes on the internet. So I hope that has answered your question well. That's it.
Right. Thank you so much. It was a great session by both of you. I'll just request, like, we have called like the other panelists as well for the closing remarks. So as we are reaching towards the end of the session, we'll start with Professor Pradeep Kulshrestha. So can you please start with the closing remarks for this session?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for organizing this webinar. And I'm sure participants must have benefited from this. And I have one piece of advice that one should keep going, not an issue. Somebody will touch the line early, somebody will follow little later. But all of you will succeed eventually. Life is full of opportunities. So just keep going, not to worry. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And Dr. Monica Agarwal, ma'am, your comments?
Thank you, Samriddhi and Mohit, for such a wonderful session. I've not taught you, but you were really insightful in telling how to prepare for the competitive exams and how to really work. It's not only about law students, but how one should can manage time and how to prepare really for the corporate world. And it was really insightful, and I hope the students were really able to connect with you because you have really passed out from Sharpur, so the connection is there, and I hope we'll have more type of these webinars in future also and continue with you. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Professor Kulshresht, for joining us, and all the participants and School of Law for helping us in organizing this webinar.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Right. Dr. Umila Yadav is also with us, ma'am. Your closing comments, please.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you, Samriddhi and Mohit, for such a wonderful
open your
and
video also, Dr.
informative session. And I'm very overwhelmed by sense of fulfillment and happiness also. The way you have explained and covered the all area, and it will be really helpful to all budding lawyers to accelerate their career opportunity in private as well as the competitive exams and all. You have explained these things, that very practical aspects you have covered. And these practical aspects like the timetable, prepare disciplines and maintain timetable, something also that attending workshop, internship, importance of internship and all. These are really helpful to all I students, those who are coming in this after completing their this course. So thank you again, and thank you Monica ma'am, and thank you respected Dean sir for sparing time and being with us. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
And when Samriddhi's session was going on, Dr. Rupendra Yadav also joined in between. So, sir, I hope you are there on the panel. Can we have your closing comments? Rupendra sir?
I think he may be facing some technical issues.
Yes, maybe we lost him due to some technical issue. So we'll just go towards the end of session. With permission of speakers and panelists, I would like to conclude this webinar. Right. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Just one announcement that you will be redirected to a survey right after this webinar. Please do help us improve with your valuable feedback. Thank you all for joining us again. We are signing off for today's webinar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.